What's up, y'all? So sorry that I'm late with this week's weekly wrap up. It's just that after I compiled the stories, each day I will put an article to the side and say, hey, this could be part of the weekly wrap up. It was all negative news. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about this shit all at once. Now, of course, I do want to discuss these things with you, but not all at once. Weekly wrap up is supposed to be, a light show, and that's what it's going to be. So I redid the show, even though there's still some little things that have wiggled their way in. It's nowhere near as heavy as the other one was. So, wrap up. I'm Tasha Pierce, and this is the weekly wrap up. So the last time I talked to you guys was before the hurricane, right? So I am so very glad that we've gotten on the other side of that. I hope that your lives have not been too negatively impacted by the aftermath of the storm. But if it was, we got some celebrities who have been reaching out to help, to include Dolly Parton, Metallica, Tom Brady, Ryan Reynolds and his wife, Blake Lively, and of course, Taylor Swift. Now, as far as I know, as of right now, Taylor Swift has given the biggest celebrity donation that has been reported in the news, and it was a donation of $5 million. And I think that that can be put to very good use by the people who have been affected by this storm. But for some reason, when somebody does something out of the kindness of their heart, something nice, there is always one person. Now, I don't know how many other people expressed this sentiment, but this is the one I saw. And I say it's always one person, and this is that one person who seems to think that $5 million, that $5 million donation, was not enough because she's a billionaire. And I have to ask myself, when these people make these types of statements, like, do they understand how billionaires work? Like, it's not like she's got $1 billion, like, right here. She has assets, she has cash, she has other properties that are all valuated to $1 billion. So that's not saying that she's got $1 billion in pocket change, but that she does have a portfolio that's worth $1 billion. But who cares? And I'm wondering, like, how much of their own money did they give? Because obviously there is a percentage that you're supposed to give of your money for hurricane relief, right? You're supposed to give it, according to this person. So, that bothered me. That bothered me. And it's so very easy to tell somebody else how to spend their money. Now, I want to ask, for everybody out there who thinks that $5 million is not enough for hurricane relief, how much did you put towards it? If it's less than your mouth jabbering, then you don't have a say in this. Somebody's charity is their charity. And I think that that was an extremely generous donation on behalf of Taylor Swift. It's not like she sent the hurricane and she tore up these states. She is just giving money to be of assistance, a charity. So when you get Girl Scout cookies, those are charities. Are you giving more than what the surface cost of this box of Girl Scout cookies? Are you doing that? If you're not, then shut the fuck up. All right? Clear skies. I said I was going to be nice. Clear skies. Clear skies. We're going to go on to the next story. And now we're going to talk about the box office. Don't act like you didn't see the thumbnail. You know Terrifier beat the crap out of Joker 2. But we're going to have to, I guess, try to figure out, how did this happen? Now, look, we had already established that Joker 2 had a very bad start. When I recorded the last weekly wrap up, Warner's had estimated that it was going to make more like $40 million. And then after the receipts were actually tallied up, came in even less than that at 37 something, right? So now we got a movie that we've spent almost $200 million making that did not even make $40 million in its first weekend. But all hope shouldn't be lost, because you look at it like, well, okay, maybe this is one of those kinds of movies that is going to leg it out. It's going to stay in theaters for a long time because it's going to find its audience and people are going to slowly increase going to see it. And then the second weekend comes and it's a historic 80% drop. It's almost unprecedented for movies that are based on characters from a comic book. The next worst first week drop was the Marvels. And now there's one thing that I say that's in common with these kinds of movies, and that is they have a very vocal anti fan group. So I'm not going to say that at some point Joker 2 won't turn into like a cult classic, kind of like American Psycho. It had a very slow start. People were not going to see it in theaters. Forgot what year that was, way back in the way back. And then now it is a cult classic. People talk about this movie as if it's one of the greatest things that was ever made. But when it was in theaters, And it could also be because people just didn't know what it was. But let's talk about Joker 2 again. Joker 2 got trounced by Terrifier 3. Terrifier 3, it wasn't even going to take very much for Terrifier 3 to be a commercial success. And that's the way it has been since Terrifier 2. Terrifier 2, I think they said cost, I can't remember. It was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it made $10 million through its run. So let's say, hey, let's make a Terrifier 3. So Terrifier 3, we got a little bit more of a budget and $2 million. And if we make $10 million again, we're doing fantastic. And then this movie opens up to $18 million. This is not what they expected. They did not expect to not only open up with $18 million, but to also beat these tentpole movies that are already in theaters. It didn't expect to be number one, but yet here it is. Little movie, very little marketing on Terrifier. Now, this is one I probably won't see because y'all know I got a problem with clowns, and this clown looks creepy. I haven't even seen Terrifiers 1 and 2 because I've heard too much about this one, about how stomach turning it is. I don't have to see this movie. But obviously, it's resonating with audiences, especially we're at this time of year. It's the spooky season. You got this crazy killer clown, but it was going up against the clown prince of crime, and it won. So our top 5 movies for this week, at least so far, as far as our estimated box office, top 5 movies was Terrifier 3. Really? Was Terrifier 3, followed by The Wild Robot. Oh, followed by Beetlejuice, and then number 4, Joker Folie I Do. Are you freaking kidding me? Look, the last time I looked at this, Joker was above Beetlejuice. Joker Folie I Do for its second weekend made $7 million, which means for a movie that cost damn near $200 million to make, it hasn't even made $50 million back yet. And it's going to start. You can almost count on it starting to lose theaters. Like right now, it's still sitting in 4,102 theaters, but I got a feeling it's going to lose a lot of theaters next week. I can't justify it being in 4,000 theaters next week if it hasn't even made $50 million. Anyway, the last one of our box office top 5 was the Pharrell Williams Piece by Piece Lego documentary that's out, and that one made $3.85 million, and it doesn't have to make a ton of money for it to be safe or at least profitable. But Beetlejuice is hanging in there for the 6th weekend, and the Wild Robot is still hovering around in the first 2 spots. It's for the 3rd weekend. But oh wow, how shocking it is for the 2nd weekend. Joker Folie I Do, this Folie I done. and and like I said, Pharrell Williams, I do want to see that Lego documentary by Pharrell Williams. And he is one of those people who, if we were to find out that he was involved in some of the crazy stuff that we're hearing about other rappers and other people in the music industry, if I was to find out that he was a piece of crap, it would probably really hurt me for real. Anybody else, I don't think I'd be too surprised if we found out that they were up to no good, at least half of the time. But for real, I think it would really break my heart if I were to find out that he was no good. Kind of like there was no shock or surprise with the Diddy thing, and we're getting more and more allegations and accusations against Diddy that are coming out. It's kind of hard to parse what's real and what is just a cash grab, because there are some of them out there that are just for the cash grab, and then there are a bigger chunk of people who are probably telling the truth. Diddy is still fighting to get out, to get released on bail, and most people tend to think that he is where he needs to be. except for this guy.
Nah, he's like the gatekeeper to the game, to the point to where what weekend just passed? Like BT Award weekend, it didn't, like the past two, they just didn't feel right because there was no motion, there was no parties, there was nowhere to go.
You think somebody should tell him that as long as you don't have illegal activities going on, that it's okay for him to throw a party? I mean, why does it have to be Diddy throwing the party? Unless you're saying that you're missing the parties, but what you're really missing is them freak-offs.
Like,
let's be very specific between like, parties and freak-offs.
No, the industry, like the parties that we attend, like there's me, the Terrences,
I left before one. I never stayed. I've only been to 2 parties and like, I've never seen a freak-off.
Yeah, like, but
you know, the parties like me and you. She like, nah, bruh, you on your own. I was always gone and I only went to 2. And every time I went to one, I bounced. So I don't know what you're talking about. Wasn't me.
It shows, and once again, I'm separating it, right? I'm talking about him as the artist, the person, right? How monumental and how important he was to the culture. Because I said, Jermaine, there's no parties. Every year, dude he had the fest, and you feel it. It's like a whole. It's like, damn, we ain't going. He was just such a gatekeeper for him. The liquor in the clubs, like he was everything hip hop.
Yeah, Diddy was the gatekeeper of the liquor and the clubs. And for some reason, Bow Wow thinks that liquor and clubs is everything hip hop. Now, I know he probably meant something different here, or at least I hope he meant something different here. Are we forgetting that there are people, at least one person that we know for certain, that was treated horribly at these very same parties? Do you understand how selfish you have to be to sit here and talk about a man who we've got evidence of him doing this really horrible thing to Cassie Ventura? We know for sure that happened, right? So at a party, at the freak-offs, right? So you are so selfish that you want this man out of jail. You want his presence in your presence because he had the parties, the liquor. What else did he say? The liquor, the clubs. It's hip-hop. No, baby, that's not hip-hop. That is what hip-hop was hijacked to be. Hip-hop didn't start off being, you know what, clear skies, clear fucking skies, clear skies.
Hip-hop. Yeah. You know what I mean? So for that to die out, it's like you just would have never thought. And especially when you look at somebody as like somebody you study, somebody you idolize, somebody who you looked at like, yo, when it comes to hustle, when it comes to business and how to run your shit, it's like he was the guy that every young hustler looked up to and wanted to either be like or wanted to, man, I'm gonna pass this nigga. Like I want to pass this nigga. Like he just step your hustle game up. You know what I mean? So it's sad and it's messed up that, you know, we gotta witness this in this time.
I've got nothing else to say about that. You put your thoughts down in the comments and we're gonna move on. Before I go any further, I'd like to say a very big thank you to my patrons and channel members. You see them flowing across your screen right now. Thank you guys for keeping the lights on around here. If you too would like to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/Tasha Pierce, or you can click that join button right here on this here video. Or maybe you might just want to send me a one-time donation via Super Thanks or Cashapp. All of those will be down in the description. Thank you so much. Shoot, it's looking like that there's a possibility that Deadpool and Wolverine will be at the Oscars. No, not as nominees, or maybe, who knows, but probably not as nominees, but as the hosts of the Oscars, because it does make complete and total sense. Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds hosting the Oscars. I actually think that it would work. Number one, it would attract an entirely different demographic to the Oscar ceremony, to watching it. And then number two, both of them are charismatic enough. Both of them have the improvisational skills. Hugh Jackman has the Broadway background that a lot of hosts of the Oscars have. I think this would work. I think it could work. So let me read this article. It says, yes, it's that time again. The Oscar host hunt is on. Reliable sources tell Deadline that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are in the mix. The plan they hear would be to include them as part of a star ensemble of rotating hosts, each or in pairs doing a portion of the show per plan to shake things up. I even think that would work. I think that would work better than single host. But anyway, in this regard, Deadline also has heard from sources that stars such as Will Ferrell, Amy Poehler, and Dwayne Johnson have also been approached Not really surprising since it seems Johnson's name is floated every year, but he has, for various reasons, resisted, and we have heard Poehler's name on the Academy wish list ever since she successfully hosted the Golden Globes with Tina Fey. I'm not sure I want an Academy Awards hosted by The Rock, but I can see Will Ferrell, and I can see Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. Having Reynolds and Jackman prominently on the show would make perfect sense, of course. The pair are the title stars of Deadpool and Wolverine, a summertime smash that's the #2 movie of 2024 globally with $1.33 billion worldwide, just behind Inside Out 2, $1.69 billion. The threequel comes from Disney, which also owns ABC, the network airing the 97th Annual Academy Awards on March 2nd. Jackman hosted the universally praised 2009 show produced by Bill Condon and Larry Mark, and Reynolds is the kind of personality who seems tailor-made for the gig. Yes, I do agree with that. It's a no-brainer. They successfully co-hosted ex-Oscar host Jimmy Kimmel's ABC talk show one night this summer when Jimmy Kimmel was on vacation. But would they do it? Would they do it? Reliable sources tell Deadline the outreach is real, but there are mixed signals as to whether the stars are willing to participate. Hugh Jackman has been advocating here recently, and I don't think this is playing any part into why he might not want to be involved with the Oscars, but he's got a friend that's missing. Zelig Williams. So Jackman had posted earlier this week to his Instagram stories, please, if anyone has any information as to the whereabouts of Zelig Williams, please reach out to your local authorities. He says, we love you and we are praying for your safe return. I believe he's 28 years old and he is a Broadway dancer. To know that this young man is missing and it is being amplified by Hugh Jackman, the audience that is going to be seeing this missing persons poster is that much bigger because of his relationship with Hugh Jackman. The family has hired a private investigator to assist in finding him, locating this young man in this desperate search they have looking for him. He was last seen on October 3rd at his home in Columbia, South Carolina. And the family filed that missing person report the following day after the 28-year-old failed to contact them. This young man has credits to include Hamilton and MJ the Musical. And now this search is entering its second week. And the family is desperately trying to find this young man. Now, his family says they don't believe that he just wandered off. So, 10:10, three of his friends received an SOS ping from his cell phone, which is not a lot of time after leaving the house. So he left the house at 9:52 a.m. and by 10:10 a.m., three of his friends were receiving an SOS ping from his cell phone. And now an iPhone can be programmed to contact emergency services or a list of emergency contacts if an emergency SOS is triggered. So the device can also alert emergency contacts if it detects a hard fall or a car crash. Williams was spotted driving in the area of Congaree National Park, and then a sheriff's deputy located this young man's vehicle more than 20 miles away from his home in a parking lot for the Palmetto Trail, a hiking route that bisects the state. So the lot where the car was parked had only been there a little over a year. We weren't even familiar with the space. This is what the police are saying. They had no idea that this parking lot was even there. So it's almost like somebody would have had to have known it was there. Given that Williams himself had only been in Columbia for a few months, the likelihood is that he didn't know about the location of that lot or that trailhead. So, the car that deputies located did not show signs of a crash that could have triggered the SOS message, which makes us think that the SOS message was then intentionally set off by Zelig Williams. So he didn't wander off. This is definitely a missing persons case with suspected foul play. Very, very sad to hear, but it's also good to have people in a position that can amplify the voice of your family who want nothing more than to bring you home. So I went off on a tangent. I was supposed to be talking about the Oscars, and I remembered about that. But I kind of hope that Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds do it. But if they don't, I can completely understand. This has been a long and grueling year with the marketing and the press for Deadpool and Wolverine. So I can understand why you would just want to kind of like chill. Even though this ain't until March of next year, I can understand why you'd want to chill. So tell me what you think down in the comments below. If you have seen Zelig Williams or if you have any information about his whereabouts, please call the Richland County Sheriff's Department at 803-576-3000 or contact Crime Stoppers at crimesc.com. That's CRIMESC.com. And put a bow on it, because that's a wrap for this week's Weekly Wrap Up. So thank you again for hanging out with me as we talked about some milder subjects. But yeah, it's going to get wilder later on this week because there have been some new accusations levied against some very powerful people in the hip hop industry. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about a former football player who is now levying his own accusations at the NFL and, of all people, Jay-Z. So stay tuned. Stay tuned to After the Snap because there is more to discuss. And of course, this ain't about drama. This is about the intersection between common sense and pop culture, and then sometimes where the lines can get a little blurry, right? All right, so if you've not yet done so, please hit the subscribe button, turn your notifications on so you will not miss an upload. And yeah, make sure you comment on this video. Leave your comments. I love to hear what you think about these and other subjects. Keep your eyes and ears open, y'all, because you deserve so much more than just tea. Peace.